So I'm doing some testing on this combination laser telescope. So I'm using the telescope as a collimator lens, and see, it has separate focus and zoom functions. And I thought before I started this project it was going to be the zoom that's going to change the size of the dot primarily, but it's turning out to be the focus. See, right now it looks like that the dot is about 2¼ inches wide, and that's coming right out of the end of the telescope here. Right now I've got some duct tape over the sensitive electronics here because it was raining a little bit before, but I was kind of motivated right now to do some testing in the dark. So I'm going to go to the other end here, about 300 feet away, and I'll show you how wide the dot is there. So yeah, so right now the dot here on the garage, it about covers my thumbnail. Okay, and now I'm going to set the camera up on a tripod. I'm going to watch that dot, and I'm going to shine the laser 303 up against the garage also. So this is the laser 303 that I was using in this video, and so before this telescope was attached, both of these lasers would shoot about the same size of a dot in the distance of close to a mile, and that was about 21 inches wide. And the first test that we did with this setup, we got the dot down to, I think, 16 or 17 inches in that same distance, and it was a little more difficult because we were using radios and I can't exactly see at the far end, and but I'm learning as I go along. I'm learning how this thing operates, and it really likes using the focus feature. And right now I think I've got the zoom set on max. I'm going to have to carefully check it later because I don't want to lose my settings, because so it's a little touchy on the settings. So I want to make a mark here, especially on this focus where it is set right now. So that'll be my starting point. But I got to keep in mind that over a longer distance the beam will likely cross over and get wider again. But that's okay because it's starting to look like there is adjustment that I can bring it back. Yeah, so kind of like I got this idea from a tip somebody else gave, not a YouTuber, somebody else, and so that's why I gave this a try. He seemed to be kind of knowledgeable. So this here is just it started off as a piece of aluminum, just solid blank, and then I got a machine shop just to mill out one end so that I could kind of snugly slip it over this end of the telescope, and the other end had a smaller hole so that the laser would just kind of fit in there, but I had a little more play on this end. And then what I did is I hung the laser kind of like up and down like this in the bench vise, you know, on this mount here, and then I got some epoxy ready, and then I watched the dot at the far end on the floor because I had the laser hanging like this. And then I set it up with some epoxy, and as the epoxy was drying, I was looking at the floor, and I had a mark there where the center was, so I was watching to try to get everything, you know, I could see if the laser was basically in the middle of where it should be rather than off to one side. So, and then I just held it in place until the epoxy hardened. I needed to hold it just for maybe a minute or 2 or 3, just till it got set into place. So I definitely don't want to bump this thing now, because it's kind of like a fragile thing here. So yeah, it's kind of like a big development. I'm going to check out the video now and see how big was this dot compared to the laser 303 at the same distance. So this one I know is already shooting at about the size of my thumb, which is about 5/8 to 3/4 inch across, and it started off at 2.5 inches. So you know what that means. That means as the beam gets farther away, it's getting smaller. See what I'm saying? But it could cross over and start to get bigger again on longer distances. But like I'm saying before, it looks like I've got adjustment to kind of get that dot to where I want. I'm hoping that that's the case, because yeah, wow. So yeah, anyways guys, thanks for checking in.